Gary Patskowitz, I hope you're doing well. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Oh, Ryan, we are getting close. Absolutely can't wait for this one. You can just feel it that we're days away. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Let me ask you from the fan base side for a couple of minutes. What's it like from that fan base? I mean, I'm starting to see a little, back and forth talk, which is good. I mean, it's I think it's both respectful, but it's good to see a little bit of heated after we've come through this long summer, this offseason.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little subdued than what might have been what we thought when this matchup was first announced, and I think that's a case of Trojan fans, Ryan, really understanding. I heard you just talking about the uncertainty at the quarterback spot. There's a lot of questions on the Trojan side that the fans on this end want to see answered about their team, and it comes into style of Clay Helton. What's going to be the identity of this football team as you go up? No better test of that than the first game against Alabama. But there's a lot that SC fans are looking to find out about this team in Game 1.
Yeah, and I think we got to start at left tackle here for a couple of minutes. Listening to Clay Helton talk about left tackle, it looks like Chad Wheeler's not going to be able to go, or at least not going to get the start. They may use him a couple of series there, but it seems like the left tackle is in question, the biggest one right now on that offensive line.
Yeah, and that's going to be Chuma Edoga, the true sophomore. It looks like he's going to get the start over there, and that's not an ideal situation when you're talking about the pass rush that Alabama has. You've got a guy like Chad Wheeler who is entering his fourth year as a starter. Chuma Edoga has promise. He's going to be good, but the thought of not having your 4-year starter there, that brings a little angst because the offensive line, Ryan, was supposed to be one of the biggest strengths of this USC team, especially going against that Alabama defense. So that's this one little chink in the armor going into the game.
What do we know about the backup?
Well, Chuma, like I said, he's a guy who played a lot at right tackle last year, even though you had Zach Banner as a starter. A very athletic guy, very nimble on his feet. This is going to be obviously a step up in challenge, but he's a guy that you look at it, and you know this as well. You've got these 4 or 5-star recruits, and they're just waiting for his turn. Well, this is Chuma Edoga's turn, and he's got all the talent. This is just a big step up in this game and this kind of matchup.
Yeah, am I reading correctly on the roster? He's about a 290-pound guy?
Yeah, he's not a 320-pounder, that's for sure. He has good size, but it's not that big, 320-pounder that you see a lot of times with these tackles. He's not that kind of size.
When you look at Clay Helton, what would he like to be able to do on the offensive side of the football?
I think you want to do 2 things. I think you're going to want to establish the run at one point. You've got a couple really good tailbacks. You do have a veteran offensive line. And so I think at some point throughout the football game, you need to establish that. A big reason, Ryan, in getting that running game going is obviously to extend long drives. But you also need to keep a little bit of pressure off of Max Brown and keep that pass rush just from pinning their ears back and coming after him. But I think if you can do that, if you can establish that run and get that going, that should open up stuff to be able to take some shots downfield with these receivers. I think that's going to be one of the most fascinating aspects of this football game is the USC receivers against the Tide secondary. So many great athletes out there. I can't wait to see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, Max Brown, when you look at Max Brown, the quarterback there at USC, do you think it will be only him, or do you think there might be other possibility to use some other quarterbacks and some maybe different situations in the game?
Clay Helton has said that he will use Sam Darnold in certain situations this year. I do think we will see that against Alabama. Sam Darnold is a talent, Ryan. He's a guy who can do some damage with his legs, and he's got a very live arm. So I do expect that if you get into some red zone stuff, you get into some short yardage situations, I don't think Helton will hesitate in putting Sam in there.
Yeah, and I think that's the one area where you look at Alabama. If there's been an area that they've been vulnerable on the defensive side of the football is a mobile quarterback, a guy that can get outside the pocket, extend the plays, and this secondary it will be a little bit better, but I think that's one of the things that you watch. And you look at Alabama. How do you prepare for Alabama's offense when there's so much unknown? I mean, do you just have to go into a read and react type defense? I mean, how do you develop a game plan when we don't know anything that's going on here at the offensive side of the football? You would expect USC does it either.
And I think it's one of the big benefits of having a Clancy Pendergast back as defensive coordinator right now. Clancy is known for being able to really handle different offenses in the Pac-12, and we do see everything out here. You see a wide variety of offenses. So if that's one thing going into this game, okay, Clancy is comfortable on the fly making those kind of adjustments, but I was sitting here listening to you, Ryan, talking about the situation at quarterback, And we know what that's like. A couple years ago, Lane Kiffin went into the season, didn't have his mind made up between Cody Kessler and Max Wittek. It extended 3 games into the year. I contrast that with the way Clay Helton handled things this year. I thought he did it beautifully, Ryan, handling the quarterback competition, sticking to his time schedule, making a decision. I really thought it was something that Helton handled well leading into this year.
When you look at the defensive side of the football, you and I have spoke about this multiple times. I think it was a concern back in the spring. It seems like some of that has been fixed. We're talking about the front 7 there for USC. I know they lost a lot of defensive linemen. What does that look like when we're about 4 days away from Alabama and USC?
I'm feeling better about it than I was at the end of spring. And one of the big reasons is the presence of a grad transfer from Utah, Stevie Tuikolovatu. He's a big 25-year-old senior right in the middle of that line. He actually earned the starting job at nose tackle midway through fall camp. And so what that did, Ryan, is allowed a couple other guys to move around, namely Rasheem Green and Noah Jefferson, to get them at the defensive end spots in the interior. So now you've got a pretty good starting trio there, and you've got enough bodies for depth. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. It's a huge test going up against an Alabama offensive line, but feeling a little better about that with the presence of Tuikolovatu in there.
You know, and I don't want this to sound, Gary, as disrespectful, okay? But I wonder if it's fixed to go up against a team like Alabama, or is it fixed to compete in the Pac-12 when you talk about spread them out? I mean, does that make any sense? I mean, if you do you have beef there? Is it depth that can slow down a rushing attack that you – if there's one thing for certain about Nick Saban, he wants to run the football. I mean, that's one of his goals. I mean, I think he's a little old-fashioned in that. I know Lane Kiffin would probably love to be able to air it out every single play, but Nick Saban sort of keeps him in check. Is it fixed for the Pac-12, or do you think it's fixed to slow down a team like Alabama?
Well, we're going to find out. And you might be talking the biggest angst of SC fans with that question you're asking. Because think about 2 of the first 3 games, Ryan, for the Trojans. You're talking Alabama this week, and then week 3 is going to be a road trip to Palo Alto to play Stanford. So probably 2 of the best teams in the country that are going to bring it right at you in a physical style. And that's a style that SC fans have known well throughout history. Is that the case this year? Is this defense built for it? It's going to have a hard time giving a resounding yes from Trojan fans right now, knowing that they are ready for that. But it's what Clay Helton says he wants to build the football team toward. That's the direction he wants to head for. And I think it's a great measuring stick in these early games. Okay, where are things at right now? And I can't wait to find out what that answer is.
When you talk about the defensive side of the football for a couple of minutes, do they have pass rushers and multiple guys? I mean, every team has 1 or 2 guys, but I mean, do they have 2 guys that you think can get after the quarterback and create some headaches? Because I would expect that's what USC is going to do. I know Alabama will try to counter with some draws, some screens, try to slow down that blitz package, but I would think they'd try to put pressure on whoever, regardless of the quarterback here in Tuscaloosa.
It's one of the things that Clancy Pendergast has always done well, is get pressure off the edge. I would say Porter Gustin is probably the number 1 guy to look for. He's a true sophomore right now. He's up between 265, 270 pounds, just a real freakish athlete. I think he's going to be the guy that applies a lot of pressure. You've got Uchenna Nwosu on the other side, and then there's a couple of true freshmen, Ryan, who I think could be really interesting. Connor Murphy is a big 6'7", 265 pounds, and then Olawole Batuku is a guy very raw, but he has some physical talent. So I think that's one of the things Clancy wants to do, is get pressure out there and then be able to put those corners in man-to-man coverage.
And it looks like they have enough quality at those corner positions that they can try to put those guys on an island and see exactly. And, you know, I think these quarterbacks at Alabama, I think that's going to be the early part of the game. They need to throw the football down the field. I mean, to be able to show that, hey, you know what, we're willing to take some chances and throw the football down the field. I know that takes a lot longer. It gives a chance to for those blitz packages to be more effective, but Alabama needs to take a couple shots just to show that, hey, we can throw it down the field, because so far in camp, the deep ball's not been there when certain quarterbacks are there. I mean, you've got some limitations. If Cooper Bateman's there, I'd load everybody in the box and say, show me that you can throw it down the field, because I'm not sure he can do it.
Well, if you're ever going to do it from a USC perspective, it's with the 2 corners that are going to be out there starting. You know, Adoree Jackson is one of the best athletes in the nation at the corner spot. And then Iman Biggie Marshall is a kid who started last year as a true freshman, and he has seen that kind of growth that you would hope to see from a freshman to sophomore year. And as a duo, they could be the best pair of corners that we put on the field in the last 20 years. And I know the Alabama receivers are loaded. So if you're asking me what's kind of a hidden thing to watch in this game, that's what I'm going to be paying attention to, because, like you say, you pretty much know the Alabama physical running game is going to be there. But can they hit any big plays to those receivers against the SC corners? I think that's going to be something really to watch.
You know, I found a really good stat when I looked at USC and I was going through their notes, and I think it's one of 3 or 4 teams in college football that has never played an FCS team. That is, I mean, you know, Alabama plays FCS teams, and I don't think they should, but they do. They schedule some of these, cupcakes and directional programs when I don't think they're worthy to be on the schedule, but they still play and they make money. But is that true? USC is one of the very few programs that's never played an FCS team?
It's true. I think there's 3 of them. It's USC, Notre Dame, and UCLA. So coincidentally, 2 teams that are on SC schedule every year. I love that fact. I think a lot of Trojans are proud of it. But doesn't it just speak to this opener, Ryan, that there are lesser opponents. Last year, USC opened up with Arkansas State. Isn't it so nice to walk into a football season without that kind of game? When it's talking USC, Alabama to open things up. You and I have been discussing this for a long time. Just amazing that it's actually right here waiting for us on Saturday.
Well, and you think about it from a couple standpoints. I mean, we're going to know early. I mean, if these 2 teams can be a contender. I mean, we'll know early. I mean, this, like next week when we come back on Monday, when you play the cupcakes and the directional programs to start the season, you don't really know anything about your football team. I mean, we see them. Hopefully you can make it through injury free. But USC is going to be a big test, and I think you'll find that. What does this game really come down to, in your opinion?
Well, I think what's interesting when you're talking about that is you guys have such a known product in Nick Saban and that program, and what you guys are bringing to the table. USC fans are looking at this game, what do we have in Clay Helton? What is the identity that this coach is going to put on his program? I think that's the biggest thing. If we're coming into this football game, I want to see them coming out in a physical style, standing toe-to-toe with Alabama, and let's see where we are at. Both sides of the football. Are you coming back to that physical USC style of play? You do that out there. I think USC and Alabama are 2 teams. Alabama doesn't have an opponent very often that can match them athletically as close as USC is going to be able to do. And so, yeah, if it is that kind of style, that's going to make for a great matchup.
11 points, 53.5 is what the experts in the desert have this game. You think that odds are too big as far as the point total?
I would love to sit here and say yes, but I think that's a reflection on USC's 8-6 record last year and where the 2 programs are at. It's just a sobering bit of reality. But I'll tell you what, Ryan, that 53 number, if it can go above that, I think that favors USC in terms of the offensive production out there. This turns into a little more of a shootout. I think that's in favor of the Trojans.